A day on Venus is longer than a year on Venus. Cleopatra lived closer in time to the moon landing than to the construction of the Great Pyramid. There are more possible chess games than there are atoms in the observable universe. Honey found in Egyptian tombs 3,000 years ago was still perfectly edible when archaeologists tasted it. Every single one of those is real. And I have the sources on screen, right here to prove it. Welcome to the video where I shatter your brain, one verified fact at a time. Here's what makes this video different from every other facts list on YouTube. For every single fact I give you, the source appears right here on screen, the journal, the institution, the publication. You can pause the video, you can look it up, you can fact check me in real time, because these facts sound so impossible that I know your brain is going to reject them. And that's fine. Skepticism is healthy. So let's go through all 10, one by one, and I'll give you the evidence. Number 1, Venus takes 243 Earth days to complete one full rotation on its axis. That's one Venusian day. But here's the thing, Venus completes its entire orbit around the Sun in 225 Earth days. That's one Venusian year, 225 days for 1 year, 243 days for 1 day. The day is longer than the year. And if that wasn't strange enough, Venus also rotates backwards compared to most planets. If you stood on the surface of Venus and somehow survived the 460-degree heat and the crushing atmosphere, you'd watch the sun rise in the west and set in the east. Venus is doing its own thing, and has been the entire time. When most people picture ancient Egypt, they picture one thing: the pyramids, Cleopatra, the pharaohs. It all blurs together into one unified ancient world. But here's what actually happened. The Great Pyramid of Giza was completed around 2560 BC. Cleopatra was born in 69 BC. She ruled Egypt and died in 30 BC. Do the math. The gap between Cleopatra and the construction of the Great Pyramid? Roughly 2,500 years. The gap between Cleopatra and the Apollo 11 moon landing? Around 2,000 years. She was closer to Neil Armstrong than to the people who built the pyramids. When Cleopatra walked through Egypt, those pyramids were already ancient ruins. They were mysteries to her the same way they are to us. When archaeologists were excavating ancient Egyptian tombs, they found sealed containers. Inside some of those containers, honey, 3,000-year-old honey, and they tasted it, and it was fine. Now you're probably thinking, how? How does anything survive 3,000 years? The science is actually beautiful. Honey has an almost impossibly low water content. Bacteria and mold need moisture to grow. Honey gives them nothing to work with. On top of that, honey is naturally acidic, with a pH that most microorganisms cannot survive. And bees add an enzyme during production that generates tiny amounts of hydrogen peroxide, which is a natural antimicrobial. Sealed, dark, stable temperature. Honey essentially refuses to spoil. That honey in the Egyptian tomb was already ancient when the Roman Empire was founded, and it was still food. 3 facts in. How are you doing? Because these next 3 are the ones that genuinely broke me when I found them. We're going from ancient Egypt to the limits of human mathematics. Chess looks like a finite game. 64 squares, 32 pieces. Clear rules. In 1950, a mathematician and engineer named Claude Shannon sat down and calculated how many possible chess games actually exist, from the opening move to the final checkmate. His estimate, known as the Shannon number, 10 to the power of 120. That is a 1 followed by 120 zeros. Now let's compare that to something. Scientists estimate there are roughly 10 to the power of 80 atoms in the entire observable universe. Every star, every planet, every grain of dust floating in the void between galaxies. Chess has 40 more zeros than that. Every chess game ever played by every human who ever lived, professionals, grandmasters, beginners, computers, they have collectively explored an almost unmeasurably tiny fraction of what the game allows. The game contains more possibilities than the universe has particles to represent them. Oxford University, one of the oldest universities in the world. Portraits in wood-paneled rooms, students in academic gowns. It feels ancient, but also distinctly European, distinctly Western. The Aztec Empire, warriors, pyramids, the city of Tenochtitlan, rising from a lake in the middle of Mexico. It feels ancient, a lost civilization from the deep past. Here's the thing most people assume: the Aztecs came first. Teaching formally began at Oxford somewhere between 1096 and 1167 AD. The Aztecs founded their capital city of Tenochtitlan in 1325 AD. Oxford was already a functioning university, with students, with lectures, with debates, for over 150 years before the Aztecs built their first city. Not their empire, their city. Look at that cloud. Soft, weightless, drifting. It weighs 500,000 kilograms. A typical cumulus cloud, the big puffy kind, contains around 500 million grams of water. That's roughly the combined weight of 100 adult elephants, suspended in the sky. The reason it doesn't fall is that the water exists as microscopic droplets, so tiny that warm-up drafts of air from the ground are strong enough to keep them aloft. The cloud isn't floating because it's light. It's floating because the air underneath is rising fast enough to hold it up. The sky is full of 100 elephant objects, and they've been hanging over our heads our entire lives. Look up differently now. Section 10, mid-video engagement. Pause the video right now. Which of those 6 facts do you believe the least? Drop it in the comments. I'll reply to the most interesting ones. Okay, 4 more. Let's keep going. Pause the video right now. Which of those 6 facts do you believe the least? Drop it in the comments. I'll reply to the most interesting ones. Okay, 4 more. Let's keep going. Woolly mammoths. Most people file them away in the same mental category as dinosaurs. Deep past, Ice Age, millions of years ago. The last woolly mammoths died around 1650 BC. The Great Pyramid was completed around 2560 BC. They overlap. While Egyptian workers were hauling limestone blocks across the desert to build the Great Pyramid, while engineers were calculating angles to within a fraction of a degree, a small isolated herd of woolly mammoths was still alive on an island in the Arctic Ocean. At the same time, the herd survived on Wrangel Island, north of Siberia. Cut off from the mainland, they lived on for thousands of years after their mainland relatives vanished. A genetic island population existing in parallel with ancient human civilization. The ancient Egyptians and the last woolly mammoths were contemporaries. Right now, while you watch this, your body is producing 25 million new cells every second. Not in a day, not in an hour, per second. Your body replaces roughly 330 billion cells every 24 hours. Red blood cells, gut lining, skin. Your body is in a constant state of manufacturing itself, decommissioning old cells, building new ones, running quality control on the entire operation. By the time you finish watching this video, your body will have produced billions of new cells. You are not a static object. You are an ongoing process. The you that exists right now is already physiologically different from the you that started this video. 25 million per second. Neptune, 4.5 billion kilometers from the sun, a world of superstorms and supersonic winds, temperatures cold enough to freeze most gases solid, and somewhere deep inside its atmosphere, it is raining diamonds. Here's the science. Neptune and Uranus both have atmospheres rich in methane. Deep in the interior of these planets, the pressure is so extreme, millions of times greater than Earth's atmospheric pressure, that it tears apart methane molecules and compresses the carbon atoms that remain. Compressed carbon under sufficient pressure becomes diamond. And those diamond crystals, some researchers estimate they could grow to centimeters in size, fall downward through the atmosphere toward the planetary core. They fall like rain. And at the core, conditions may be extreme enough to produce something even stranger, a liquid diamond ocean. Somewhere in the outer solar system, right now, diamonds are falling through the sky into an ocean made of liquid diamond. Finland. Population, 5.5 million people. Registered motor vehicles, approximately 2.7 million. Number of saunas, 3.3 million. There are more saunas in Finland than there are cars. One sauna for every 1.7 Finns. This is not a quirk. This is not a coincidence. Sauna culture in Finland is constitutionally embedded in daily life in ways that most of the world genuinely does not understand. The Finnish Parliament building has a sauna. Major corporations negotiate deals in saunas. Saunas are in office buildings, apartment blocks, ferry boats, and summer cabins. UNESCO inscribed Finnish sauna culture on its intangible cultural heritage list in 2020. Finland looked at the concept of infrastructure and decided the most important thing to put everywhere was a wooden room full of steam. And honestly, given everything else in this video, I respect that most of all. 10 facts. 10 verified, sourced, documented facts that your brain wanted to reject. Every source is linked in the description. Every single one. Open them, read them, be skeptical. Now I want to know one thing from you. Drop a number in the comments. How many of those 10 did you already know? No cheating. If you got more than 3, I genuinely respect you. And if you want a part 2, I have another 10 waiting. The comment section decides whether it happens. See you there.